Hello everyone, welcome to the U.S. Immigration. Everything has changed, and for millions of green card holders across the United States, these changes could not be more serious. Congress has officially approved a sweeping set of new immigration regulations that directly impact lawful permanent residents. If you currently hold a green card, if you're waiting for one, or if someone close to you depends on permanent resident status, what you are about to hear could determine whether that status remains secure or is placed at risk. These are not distant proposals or political talking points. These rules are real. They are confirmed, and several of them are already being enforced. Ignoring them could lead to devastating consequences. Welcome back to U.S. Policy Watch, the channel dedicated to keeping you informed and protected when it comes to U.S. immigration law. Today, I'm breaking down the newly approved immigration rules from Congress and explaining exactly how they affect green card holders. This information is verified, factual, and critically important. Make sure you stay until the end because I'll also give you a clear and practical plan of action to help you safeguard your immigration status starting today. To understand what's happening, we need to look at the bigger picture. Congress passed a comprehensive immigration reform package with the stated goals of strengthening enforcement, reducing fraud, and ensuring that green card holders continue to meet their legal responsibilities. While some provisions may sound reasonable on paper, many have raised serious concerns among immigration advocates and immigrant communities nationwide. Let's walk through each major change carefully so you understand exactly what's at stake. The first and most impactful change involves stricter physical presence requirements. Under previous guidance, green card holders generally felt safe traveling abroad for trips under 6 months, while absences longer than 1 year typically required a re-entry permit. Under the new rules, the margin for error has narrowed significantly. Green card holders must now be physically present in the United States for at least 6 months out of every 12-month period. Spending more than 6 months outside the U.S. in a single year can trigger allegations of abandonment of permanent residence. Even more concerning, immigration officers are now instructed to evaluate a rolling 3-year period. If you spend more than 18 months outside the U.S. during any 3-year window, officials may question whether you genuinely intend to live in America permanently. So, in practical terms, this means that frequent travelers, international workers, and those caring for family abroad really need to be extremely cautious. Maintaining a residence overseas, working for a foreign employer, or, repeatedly leaving the United States for long stretches can all be used as evidence against you. It's now essential to keep thorough documentation of every trip, including entry and exit dates, boarding passes, passport stamps, and any proof showing the purpose of your travel. If you anticipate a long stay outside the United States, applying for a re-entry permit before leaving is, honestly, more important than ever. The second major change introduces mandatory biometrics updates for all green card holders every 5 years. Previously, biometrics were typically collected only when renewing a green card every 10 years or when applying for citizenship. But under the new regulations, USCIS will require fingerprints, photographs, and signatures on a recurring 5-year schedule, regardless of whether your card itself is expiring. USCIS will send appointment notices requiring attendance at an application support center, and, honestly, failure to appear without a valid excuse can result in termination of permanent resident status. This is no longer a routine administrative formality. It is a strict compliance requirement. If you have moved and failed to update your address, you may never receive the notice, which is why filing Form AR-11 within 10 days of any address change is now absolutely critical. The third change expands and intensifies background checks for green card holders. Instead of background screening being limited to applications for citizenship or renewals, permanent residents are now subject to ongoing criminal monitoring. Law enforcement agencies and immigration databases are sharing information more aggressively. Any arrest, including misdemeanors, can be flagged and reviewed by USCIS. Crimes involving moral turpitude, domestic violence, drugs, firearms, fraud, or aggravated felonies can lead to removal proceedings. What's changed is the threshold. Offenses that might previously have been overlooked or resolved quietly are now being examined more closely. Even older or expunged records can raise red flags. Anyone with a criminal history should, consult an experienced immigration attorney immediately to really understand their exposure. The fourth major change, focuses on tax compliance. Green card holders are now under increased scrutiny when it comes to filing United States tax returns. USCIS and the IRS are sharing data more extensively than ever before. When renewing a green card or applying for citizenship, you may actually be required to submit tax transcripts for the past 5 years. As a permanent resident, you are legally required to file United States tax returns on your worldwide income, even if you live or work abroad. Failure to file taxes can result not only in IRS penalties, but also in some serious immigration consequences, including denial of naturalization or, in some cases, possible removal proceedings. If you are behind on taxes, addressing the issue proactively with a qualified tax professional is essential. The fifth change extends public charge considerations to existing green card holders. While public charge rules historically applied to applicants seeking a green card, the new regulations allow USCIS to consider the use of certain public benefits when reviewing a green card holder status or citizenship application. Benefits such as cash assistance, non-emergency Medicaid, SNAP, and subsidized housing may now be weighed negatively. Using public benefits does not automatically result in loss of status, but it can be used as evidence that someone is likely to become primarily dependent on government support. So, documentation explaining the circumstances, like medical emergencies or, say, temporary unemployment, is now more important than ever. The sixth change, it significantly expands the grounds for deportation. New categories now include material support to terrorist organizations, even if the individual was unaware of the designation, false claims to U.S. citizenship, even if made unintentionally, and, unlawful voting in federal elections. These provisions, honestly, leave little room for good faith mistakes. Accidentally checking the wrong box on a form or misunderstanding eligibility can have irreversible consequences. Extra caution is now required when completing any government paperwork. The seventh change affects the naturalization process. Citizenship interviews are now more comprehensive and demanding. While the civics test still includes 100 possible questions, the difficulty has increased and English language standards are stricter. Officers now conduct in-depth reviews of an applicant's entire history as a green card holder, including travel patterns, employment taxes, family relationships, and law enforcement interactions. Inconsistencies between testimony and official records can result in denial. Preparation and documentation are key. The eighth change introduces expanded use of expedited removal. Certain green card holders accused of serious offenses may now be deported without a full hearing before an immigration judge. This applies primarily to aggravated felonies and national security cases, leaving little opportunity for appeal or relief. Decisions are made quickly and enforced rapidly, underscoring the importance of avoiding any criminal involvement whatsoever. So, the ninth change actually limits re-entry permits. Green card holders are now restricted to just one re-entry permit within a 5-year period. For folks who rely on long-term international travel, this new restriction might, force some really difficult decisions about whether keeping permanent residence is actually possible. The 10th change deals with Social Security verification. USCIS is now cross-checking employment and Social Security records to spot unauthorized work, tax avoidance, or even fraudulent Social Security numbers. Working under the table or using false documents can lead to both deportation and criminal prosecution. So, what should you do now? Keep meticulous travel records. Update your address immediately after any move. File your taxes every year without exception. Attend every USCIS appointment. You know, it's really important to avoid criminal activity entirely, and if you do find yourself charged with any offense, make sure to consult both a criminal and an immigration attorney. Always be honest on all immigration forms. Also, document your use of public benefits carefully, just to be on the safe side. It's a good idea to maintain strong ties to the United States, and if you're eligible, you should strongly consider applying for U.S. citizenship, since that offers the greatest protection against these new rules. Legal challenges are already underway, but until courts intervene, these regulations remain in force. Very few exceptions exist, and nearly all green card holders are affected regardless of how they obtain their status. The political reality is that these rules passed with bipartisan support, reflecting a shift towards stricter oversight of permanent residents. Scams are also increasing, so, work only with licensed attorneys or accredited representatives. Make sure to verify credentials before paying anyone. In closing, the era of obtaining a green card and assuming lifelong security is over. Permanent residence now comes with ongoing obligations and continuous monitoring. Staying informed, organized, and compliant is, honestly, no longer optional. Thank you for watching US Policy Watch. If this video helped you, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it with anyone who holds a green card. This information could really change lives. Leave your questions in the comments and, as always, stay informed, stay compliant, and protect your future.